Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa.
Hey y'all, this is Jen.
And this is our podcast, Speak Up. What's up, Jen?
Hey girl.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Glad that we made it to episode 63.
63, y'all. We made it here.
Time just be flying. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends. We create this podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life challenges through self-love and respect.
That's right. Self-love and respect are two core values we hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. So today our episode is titled, You Said It.
You were thinking it.
But you said it.
Oh. If y'all don't know where that is a reference from, y'all gotta go check out White Chicks.
No, for real, that's like our little joke.
That's our movie.
But before we get into the episode, Jen has a reminder for you.
Just wanted to remind y'all, you can catch us live and unfiltered every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on the Good News Radio Network. You can go on to our bio in our Instagram at SpeakUpJV, click on the link, and you'll find where to download the app. By downloading the app, you'll be able to interact with us by live chat, calling in, asking questions. We answer your questions. We love to hear from all of y'all. And the good part about downloading the app too is that you'll be exposed to other radio shows on there that you might like.
Yeah, super awesome. Also, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor at Urban Hippie Essentials. Check her out on Instagram at urbanhippie.essentials, all holistic skincare. We had her as a guest a few episodes back. Shout out to Andrea. Make sure y'all tap in. Got me and Jen's skin glowing over here. So tap into our sponsor and support.
That's right.
Yeah, so let's get into the episode. So Jen, what you said, what we talking about? What's being said?
What do we use every single time we speak?
Words. Words.
Have you ever thought about the words you said today?
Yeah, like if you played back what you said today, would you be happy or would you be ashamed of what you said today?
And this is why we wanted to get into that today, right? Sometimes we just say things, we think we're having regular conversations with people and things like that, but we don't realize how much power there actually are in words. If you have heard that, then cool, but have you really thought about how much power is actually being transmitted after you say something?
That's so true. Like, I didn't really get deep into that until like super recent. Like, I used to just say things or whatever and didn't realize it was having a huge effect on my life. And honestly, we've been lied to about the power of words. Like, you know, you hear all kind of stuff, oh, it's just words, it doesn't matter, it's not physical. But honestly, words have a bigger impact than we think.
They really do. I mean, I'm a huge quotes person, so I definitely know the power of words. Like, I feel like words can either make or break your day sometimes, and we don't talk about that enough. That yes, words have power, but to what extent, right? So we'll be getting into the episode a little bit, but really think about how the words you say out loud have that energy. If you believe in like manifestation and things like that, or even if you don't, just realizing what you're speaking over your own life and other people's life, all of that is energy because you either believe it or you don't, but regardless, there's some sort of power attached to that statement.
That's so true. And like me as a woman in faith, like prayer, if you think of prayer, that's words right there. Like, what are you praying for? And it's like, it takes that faith, it takes the words being said for it to take place, right? So we're gonna get deep into that. Also too, let's talk about that myth: sticks and stones may break my bones, but
words will never hurt me. That is a bunch of BS. I know most of y'all have heard that, and it's like, oh well, words are just words, blah blah. No, if you've ever been bullied or you've ever just been talked down upon when you're already having a bad day and someone just adds more salt to the wound, like, words can actually be really hurtful. So we wanted to debunk that today because I don't agree with that statement.
That's true, and I get why it's for little kids to say. I get it because it's like teaching kids like, oh, it doesn't matter what someone says to you and things like that. But honestly, I look back when I was a child and like some of the mean things kids would say to me or whatever, or like things in my family that were said to me. Those words did have an effect. I walk around saying that, but I'm like, no, that's how like that trauma is like carried. It's deeper. Me and Jen like to get deep with anything we talk about, but it's true because those words said to you, remember things that were said to you. I'm sorry, it's deep.
And that's true because I feel like in saying that statement, you're normalizing someone just telling you something negative, and it's like, oh, it's okay, that's how they are, you know, it won't hurt me. But that's not true. Like, speaking of like family who talks down on us, right? Sometimes we don't think about like, oh yeah, my auntie's just like that or whatever. But no, we're normalizing toxic conversations, toxic comments about us in general, and it doesn't even have to be that deep. It can just be something like, oh, you look like you've been, you know, letting yourself go a little bit or something. Like, we may think, oh, you know, that's just auntie, but it's not. Like, words really have that power to affect us.
Yeah, like think about the first word said to us start in our household. So it's like, how are your parents speaking to you? How is your family speaking to you? And then guess what? You carry that with you. That's how you start talking to people. Like, that's why people end up raising their kids sometimes the way their parents raised them. You know, so yeah, if you grew up in a mentally abusive household, people always saying messed up words to you, you're gonna be talking like that. Your mind's gonna think like that. Honestly, I think another reason why words are so powerful. Think about the mind is powerful, right? We always talk about that. That stuff is bottled up in your mind. So that's what you're saying. We're gonna get into the mind in a minute on this episode, but honestly, words come from a different place, and I think a lot of, when it's negative, it's coming from a hurt place, and I think that's what we're trying to debunk here in this episode.
Well said. I like that a lot, because you ever just talk to somebody and realize, what the hell, where's this conversation going? Like, it's a pointless, dead conversation. I've definitely been stuck in some of those, and I say stuck because I don't like to have small talk with people, and I mean small talk in the sense of like, we're talking about other people, or just trying to focus on the negative going on in the world. Don't get me wrong. It's one thing to, sorry, a motorcycle just passed by. It's one thing to acknowledge when things aren't going that well, or like someone did something that got you messed up or whatever, but when that's all you talk about, especially with one specific person, maybe it's time to start checking yourself. That's not a conversation that's going to take you anywhere. Or acknowledge the bad part, but then also add the solution to it, add the good part in it, because I guarantee you can find it. But if you're just circling around on these conversations that aren't going anywhere, where are you really headed with that person?
That's true. Like, it's nothing wrong with venting, like Jen said, letting it out, but you end up in a trauma bond. I can't think of like in a past time, like when I was in a more negative space, where like I had those trauma bond people that I can just call whatever we was talking. That's all we talked about though. And it's like, where is this going? Like I said, like what solutions being made? In a day, you're staying stuck and stagnant in it. And then like if both of you guys are in that negative space together, you guys are just digging each other deeper into that hole to where there ain't even no light, no way out. Because it's nothing wrong with venting, but I feel like when you're venting, you need that person who's going to help you like speak through it. Like, okay, this is what happened. What's the solution to this? How can we come out of this space versus like us just staying stagnant in it? Because if it turns out you're talking about that same thing 3 weeks from now, you're just still in it. You know, I don't know, in a day it becomes like that. And then another thing, gossip. That's another big thing. We all guilty of gossiping. I'm not going to act like I never gossip or I don't gossip. But, you know, I have to check myself on that as well, because it's like, you know, you're pulling yourself into that. You're not even just in your own negative space. You're pulling yourself into other people's negative spaces. And then you're putting this cloud over people's life and stuff and making it bigger than what it is.
I agree. I think engaging in full-on gossip for a long time, that is really low vibrational stuff. And it's not saying I've never done it, blah, blah. Girl, I like me some chisme every now and then too. Like, y'all know. But it's not something that I should always be doing. And I catch myself too when I am engaging in too much. And it's not even gossip on like, things that are happening that are messy. It's things on like you're making up rumors about people, or you're making judgment calls on other people. Like, I think that is one of the biggest parts about realizing how much power those words have, because when you're just speaking to hurt somebody, or it's like, oh well, you know, because she did this, I bet you she does this in the background or whatever, like that's not taking us anywhere. And that's one of the worst words that you could talk about, or that you could use to talk about somebody. That's
true. You're out there spreading, and then guess what? That's how words get mixed up, and then it becomes a bigger lie. You know that game you used to play in elementary school? You whisper in each other's ear, and then by the end, last person, it's a whole nother sentence. That's literally how gossip is. And then you look up, it's this big image on a person that it's wrong. It ain't even true. You know. And me and Jim bring this up because that's something we're working on it as people too. Like, you know, in a day, our show focuses on self-love and inner peace. And honestly, gossiping is one of those things that stunts that, you know. So it's like, this is therapy for me and Jim, being able to talk about real life things that we all go through, we've all have dealt with, but how can we work through it and hold ourselves accountable for times that it has ever happened? You know, in a day, gossiping is a negative cloud. And you know, on the flip side, use your words for empowerment, not small talk, you know. And like, I'm really trying to be more intentional with my conversations. Like, okay, I'm having a conversation with someone. how can I add value to this person in this conversation? Like, something wrong with entertaining conversations and laughing and stuff, but like, you know, but include that empowerment in there. It's something about who you're talking to on the daily, the conversation that you're holding, that's going to have an effect on your day and your well-being as a whole.
That's true. And I think this is why we need to watch the words we use even in an argument. Oh. Because as bad as gossip is, arguments are inevitable with anybody. You have a relationship with anybody, it could be professional or personal, you're bound to have a disagreement, an argument, discussion, whatever you want to call it. But watch those words. When you start hitting what they call below the belt, that's when it becomes, you know, something else. If you and your friends roast on each other that way, I guess that's a whole different thing. But, you know, even then you got to watch out, because you could really get your feelings hurt that way. But it's important when you're actually having a serious talk with somebody and you just say something so out of line that it's like, damn, yeah, you won, quote unquote, that argument, but it's like, how much did you hurt that person and ultimately your relationship with them in the end?
That's so true. And it's like, just because let's say you and a person get into a debate or like a disagreement, that don't give permission to hit under the belt, because I feel like that's a sign of your pain if you're looking to purposely hurt somebody else or bring up their dirt or their secret to hurt them or use something against them. You know, I've been a victim of that, you know, and I've been a person that's done that. I didn't feel good both ways. I didn't feel good as the person having those words, or when I had to slip and say something mean to somebody. And also too, someone hit you below the belt, you know, I learned too from experience. I've like hit them below the belt back. I did not feel good after. You don't even have to do that. So hit you below the belt, you let them sit there and marinate in that, because you're bringing yourself down to their level when you do that. I learned that from experience. Everything I'm saying is from experience. You know, I'm not attacking people who have slipped up. I've slipped up before, and it's not fun. You know, when you hurt somebody else, like in the day, let them deal with whatever the heck they had to say, because honestly, those below the belt things should not have to come up, because in the day, y'all could forgive each other and let it go, but those words are still lingering there, you know, and it's like, really, this is how this person really feels about me. I've been in arguments and like certain people that I've argued with have said, oh, I was just angry when I said that. In the day, okay, anger brings out certain things. It shakes everything up. So I'm starting to think that's how you were really feeling, you know, even when we are cool, you know?
No, that's true. There's some truth to like the anger that we share through our words. And it's important to think about what long-lasting effect that's going to have. Kind of like how you're bringing that up of like, okay, even though y'all forgive each other, there's part of that of like, dang, they really said that to me. And we really need to think about that too, because sometimes we get so comfortable with people we love and share an everyday lifestyle with that we think it's okay to say certain things. Oh, they're going to forgive me, or, you know, that just happens and stuff. But there's a limit. Like, I really place respect on my relationships. So me having a smart ass mouth, also, I'm trying to be more mindful of the words that I use when I am angry or having a bad day and it's nobody else's fault but my own, that I can't be using these words, because I know in the long run that's going to affect the relationship, even if the person never says anything to me about it or whatever. Like, it's there, you know. So really be mindful of what kind of words you're sharing when you're angry, because even though you were out of character in that moment or you were just hot or whatever, like, you can't take it back once it's already been said.
Yes. And you know, I know we say like, oh well, it didn't get physical, but words, that messes with your mental, and that's even more extreme, because yeah, okay, a punch, whatever, you got a bruise, whatever, but that mental bruise is something totally different, and that really could scar a situation, especially when it's someone that you love and that you know that you want in your life. You know, it's like, I don't know, that's something big with words. And also too, words hurt, but don't let it take you down. So yes, I know some of us are around some negative people who always got stuff to say and stuff, but I feel like the more we work on who we are as a person, when people use certain words, it'll be easier for us to be like, okay, that's be able to take a step back and say, okay, that's something they're battling with internally and they're taking that out on me.
Yeah, this is why it's important for us to think before we speak, right? I'm sure you've heard this before, and it's like, oh yeah, I already know. Do you really though? Because if you're impulsive like me, sometimes you just say whatever comes out of your mouth. You don't really have, or what out of your head, or you don't have a filter. Like, I've been very guilty of this, and I've really been taking that saying to mind of think before you speak. Like, sometimes you just don't know what you're gonna do or say to somebody, or you realize like, damn, I was really thinking that the whole time. Not everything we think has to be said.
That's so true. And then like, one thing about me, like, I feel like I'm on the the opposite end of like, I try to like hold back on what I say, But I'm learning to use my voice, but still think about it and make sure it's effective what I'm trying to say versus like trying to dig. We're like, okay, how can I get my message across to this person? But think it through before doing it. Because yeah, you're right. That first thought that does come in your head, it probably don't even. Probably it sounds right in your head, but then if you say it out loud, it's like, oh shoot, like wait a minute, did I just say that to that person?
I get the finish him from Mortal Kombat in my head.
And that's the thing. When I'm on the road, that's it.
That's it.
That's the thing. That's why I be like, over there, let me,
That's true. Yeah, and I'm very quick on my feet, so I'm like, don't.
Yeah, put Jen on your team if you're in a debate. Like she'll finish them off for you.
I can't.
That mouth.
My God. But it just goes back to that, right? Like once it's said, you can't go back. Like words are the one thing you can't take back, no matter what. And this is why a lot of us end up in these like toxic relationships or just dealing with people we shouldn't be dealing with, because we think, oh, it's okay, they didn't mean that, or I'll forgive them, or we can move past that. Certain things you can, but like you were saying, verbal abuse is real.
Yeah.
So when somebody finally says something that did hit below the belt, or it was like the last straw for you, it's okay if you decide not to mess with that person again. Especially, I'm personally, we both are. Our love language is words of affirmation. So if you use words against me, that's it. That's like I can't. Yeah, like you're hurting me right where you're supposed to be loving me instead.
And I think too, like going off with the toxic relationship stuff, that's why it comes with that inner love, that inner peace, and that self-confidence. Because what causes a verbal toxic relationship when we're placing all of our value into someone else's hand, right? So when they're using those words again, us putting us down with their words, with their opinion of us, mean words, you're taking that in because everything's in their basket, right? So it's really about like building that stuff up, because verbal abuse is real, and then those words are so powerful, it starts to mess with your own self-image. You start to believe that person, but guess what? It makes you latch onto them even more, because you're so concerned about their opinion and what they think of you, that anything that they say, it holds power. Like I don't know. I feel like someone has told me. I read something or whatever. I don't even know. Y'all just listen. I read something that it was just saying how a lot of abusive people, verbally abusive people, they like to purposely use those negative things because it keeps the person like wanting more of their opinion, approval. Think about it. If I'm always like, oh well, I don't like that, it's going to mess with you. You're going to want to keep trying to impress me and do something else to change it.
So you finally tell me you do like something.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's another way of power. That's another example of how words are powerful.
Oh my gosh, yo, that's deep. It goes back to the trauma bond that you were talking about though too, and like even like the Stockholm syndrome, right? Of like, even though this person or this situation isn't good for you, you're still stuck there for whatever reason, whether it's for that validation that you were talking about before, or you really think this person can change, or they only lash out when they're angry, but when they're good, they're really good. We need to stop normalizing that type of behavior and really realize where that's coming from, because that is very hurtful for us. And before we know it, we're stuck with somebody for the rest of our lives who isn't good for us, or we're not good for them either, because I do believe toxic relationships takes two to tango, honestly. Like y'all both just bring the worst out of each other, and a lot of times that abuse does start with words. Like we don't realize where that, well anyway, this episode can go a whole different direction with that, but yeah, like just realizing if even the words someone is saying to you is hurtful, what makes you think it's actually going to get better? If anything, it's going to get worse. It's going to cycle into something else. So we really just be needing to be mindful of that. Like we've basically been hinting at, words can be healing or hurting, and even though yes, actions show more than words do at the time, it starts with words, right? Usually when someone wants to be forgiven, what's the first thing they say? I'm sorry, please forgive me, I apologize, whatever. And most of the time, even if someone is trying to change, you still want to hear that I'm sorry, that apology coming in. So those are the words that can be very healing. But if it just gets worse from that thing they last did or they last said to you, then that's when it's hurting, right? So you need to realize, like, really, y'all, this is why we're making a whole episode on words. Like, words really do have power, and they have the power to either heal your relationship or hurt your relationship.
That's so true. And going off like healing and hurting, we're not talking about when you're giving someone that tough love, because sometimes you could say those words out of love, right? Tough love, and it's gonna hurt the person because some people, the truth hurts sometimes too, right? So it's like know the difference too between like if you're just probably trying to jab somebody, or you're like telling them what they need to hear because it hurts, so they can heal and work on whatever they need to do. You know, I mean, me and Jen like to do a lot of boo on here, but sometimes it gotta hurt so it can, you know, so it can heal and stuff. But we're talking about people who like blatantly like are just saying negative or trying to tear people down, like, you know. But no, that's real, and like you never know how your words can affect a person. So it's like just be mindful. Like sometimes I'm here too. Some of us have different mental. I don't know the word to use. I don't want to say mental toughness. Some people can handle words differently. I'm gonna say that capacity. You don't know, because some people weren't taught to a certain way when they were growing up. Some people were, and like certain mean things, people take it more, and some people are like that one little, like are more sensitive to those type of things. So you have to be careful, like who and what you're using those words on.
Y'all, us sensitive people, we exist. Even though we got tough mouths, we got soft
like,
hearts.
wait a minute.
So. Yeah, be mindful. And y'all, you know we got to get into this. Social media, right? Like social media, I feel like is always our thing.
That's the thing.
And okay, we're not against social media. I just want to put that out there. Obviously, things have changed, so it gets a lot harder to be on there. And I think a lot of that comes from too, like, just the things people are saying online. Like, we need to not take in other people's words on social media. We need to be careful of how much we're letting something affect us. Y'all ever search something and then you start looking at the comments and then you just go into this deep rabbit hole of, or like you want to respond to that person's comments? Is it worth it at the end? 99% of the time it's not. Like, even if you're trying to educate them or trying to put them in their place real quick or whatever, something they said pissed you off, rubbed you the wrong way, is it really worth responding to it? No. So that's another tip we just want to give. Do not take other people's words on social media.
That's so true, because some people are really like mean on there, you know, and it is people's opinion. People take out their stuff on there. Like, I used to catch myself looking for negative for what, like just to see. I used to like catch myself looking through comments to see people's perspective of things. You know, like it could be a perspective of something that affects me personally, and I'm just curious what other people think. But I would catch myself like it's hurting myself, because like, you know, them people are mean online. Why are you even looking to see what people? Who cares what people think, right? But I had to hold myself accountable, and then I realized that was detrimental to my mental health, right? So, you know, don't take that in. Even like with comments, you post your cute picture, somebody got something to say. That
sound like a hater to me.
You ain't got time for that. You post another one to keep popping.
Exactly.
Like, people are just, you ain't gotta do that. And don't believe everything people say. A lot of people speak from opinion. Like, we're in a world where everyone thinks their opinion brings that entitlement. And it's like, I love to look at fact-based and rationality with things. So no.
I like that a lot. Yeah, because not everything people say to you is real. And I know that sounds so like, oh, well, no, duh, but we have to say it, because sometimes we take people's opinions at face value and think, oh, that's facts, or yeah, I thought the same thing too, whatever. It's cool to have your opinion. Right, yeah, and it's cool to have an opinion. I get it, free speech, all of that stuff, but there's a point where it becomes hate speech or hurtful speech or even just unnecessary speech. Like we were saying, not everything has to be said. So same thing with, like, even if someone is telling you something on social media, who the hell are they? First of all, people like to be these keyboard warriors and just say all kinds of shit because they're behind a screen. But in reality, like, anytime someone says something negative, it's more of a reflection on them than it is on you. So that's why we're telling y'all, like, you don't have to believe everything somebody tells you. We all know about this whole thing of, like, fake news or whatever, but it applies even to just words in general, fake words in general. Like, first of all, people don't know how to spell online. I've had this whole thing of like, y'all's grammar is just whatever. I mean, yeah, but just the opinions in general. Like, not everything has to be you believing that it's real.
That's true. You gotta remember too, we in a time where everyone is searching for clout. So people just say anything just to get the likes, just to get the clickbait, you know, or on whatever they're saying. So it's like, don't take that first headline and run with it. Like, really dig deep and see what the hell they're saying. And also too, y'all knew we were gonna get into this. Not everything that you think is real. So when we say that, we talking about that negative self-talk. You know, we gotta really work on that. Like, there's so many times I talked myself into a negative space because I was just in my head making up scenarios. You know, just no, like, you know, and you're creating scenarios that ain't real. I've done that before, creating scenarios that or like try to foresee the future with what I thought was going to happen with my negative talk. And Jen always tells us you're living through it twice by doing that, because what if it does happen? You have to deal with it already mentally, and you deal with it again. What's the point of all that? You're putting yourself through an extra drive.
Yeah, that's true. And we're already our own worst critics, right? You're probably already telling yourself all kinds of things in your head. So why does that all have to be real? Like I've said before, when you're using words like never or always or
trying.
Yeah, like you're placing yourself on this definitive realm of thinking, yeah, you're always this way. This is why you're such a loser, or whatever it is that you're telling yourself. You always fail. You never get things right. Like you're already setting yourself up with that limitation. So words having power starts with that self-talk. In reality, whatever is going on in your world in here is going to be reflected in your world out there.
Yeah, and it goes with being mindful of, of what you're paying attention to. All those things, like what you pay attention to goes into your mind. That funnels a thought. That's going to become what you end up saying. So yeah, if you looking at negative all day, you're around negative people all day, you taking it in, you're eventually going to start speaking like that. And it becomes, you subconsciously end up like that, because I say that because it becomes normalized. When something's normal to you, you're not going to acknowledge the faults of it.
That's true. Yeah. The words you fill yourself with ultimately become you. Right, that self-talk, like this is why it's important to hype yourself up, be your own biggest fan, because these words that you're speaking into your life are going to become your existence. And I didn't realize how much that was true until I did this little social experiment with myself. Call me crazy, whatever, part of my
we always thinking all you're doing
my
stuff,
7 personalities, but of having negative self-talk for a week. Like I specifically just let myself indulge in that negative self-talk, and I realized how low I was, like just becoming, and just not believing in my future, not wanting to work on my goals, not wanting to do anything. And then the next week, I was so happy when Monday finally came back. It was like, okay, now just pump yourself up the entire week. And there was a huge difference, even in the things I believed I could do. And it's funny because on the outside, nothing really changed. But on the inside, my entire world changed. I felt like I could see more clearly. I was thinking more clearly. I refreshed myself. I was able to get back into the hobbies that I loved, like different things like that. So it really is something that you need to be paying attention to, because we don't realize how much of an existence we already have up here, but then how much that's actually going to affect your world on the outside.
Whoa, okay, that was dope. I was all listening. You should see my face on here. I'll look back at the video later. And I think a lot of us downplay the power of the peace inside. I think we get so caught up in what's going on around us and stuff. Like I literally like tweeted this, like, you could create paradise in whatever environment that you're in. It's really about what's going on in here and like what you set up around you, versus focusing on all that, because someone could be in this something crazy. I know you met those people, like you could meet someone and it's like, wow, you went through all this, but they're so peaceful and happy, because inside it's like whatever they created. So that's why we're gonna get into the importance of silence. Sometimes you just need that silence to get your mind right and figure out exactly what is going on. Because sometimes too, when we're just blabbing too much, thinking and saying everything, we don't even get a chance to grasp what's going on up in here. Now I'm guilty that I am a talker. I'm always thinking. I'm always like I think a million thoughts per second. That's why I talk fast. I just got told that yesterday. I should talk fast. But honestly, sometimes I have to just shut up. Just be quiet, think, grasp whatever is going on, and create that peace within, like Jen was talking about, like what's going on in this world.
Yeah, and I know some of that may come from being uncomfortable with the silence, right? In the sense of like, dang, it's too quiet or whatever. And I've been guilty of that, even though I'm the opposite of that. Like, you kind of have to get me to talk to you sometimes. But it comes from that of like realizing you don't always have to have something to say. And I'm very big on that. I don't like to use words just because I want to hear my voice or whatever and all that stuff. Like, I think you need to be aware of what is actually going to come out of your mouth, and it's okay if things get silently uncomfortable. Like, be comfortable with getting uncomfortable, and that comes with conversations as well, because sometimes in order for us to just fill the gap, we've seen all those awkward rom-coms in the first meeting of like one of the partners is nervous, so they just keep rambling on, and then before they realize that they said something weird or something dumb, that happens in real life.
Done it on here too.
Yeah, or like you overshare because you're trying to fill in the gap, and then you're like scaring the person off. This is real, okay? I've been on both sides. I've also been the person too of like, dang, you're so quiet. Why aren't you talking? It's like,
right.
Aquarius mind though is always thinking something, always observing. But that's a whole other topic. But the point is that, yeah, you don't always have to have something to say. Let the gap fill itself out with the silence, right? And I think the more we get comfortable with people, the more we get comfortable with ourselves, really, we start realizing that's okay. Silence is okay.
No, that's so true. Like, honestly, I love those people that you really could sit in silence with and y'all just vibing. That's how you know you're comfortable with a person. Because if you feel like you always have to be entertaining, that's when I feel like the authenticity of the relationship is like dying down. And honestly, all this relates to self-love, because words are powerful, and we need to put positive and speak positive into ourselves. You know, that's another form of self-love. Being nice to yourself, loving yourself. You have a lover, right? And that you're like desperate love. You're gonna tell them compliments. You're gonna tell them nice things. You're gonna motivate them and pump them up. Be that lover to yourself. Use those words on yourself and be mindful. And then a part of self-love too is loving others, right? Be mindful of what you're saying to people and are using those words to hurt people.
And that starts with taking accountability for the conversations that we're having. We're not always going to be having these therapeutic combos. I realize that y'all should hear some of the things Bernice
we have moments where we're like, I have to say this real quick.
Right,
we just
we get angry too. We indulge in the cheese every now and then too, but like we take accountability when it's becoming too much. When we're like, all right, like let's get down to business, or let's focus on friendship, or let's just veg out and be quiet right now, or whatever. But that's part of us holding each other accountable. But do that in your regular life too, like not just with other people, but just with yourself. Check yourself. Right? Like sometimes, yes, we want to be part of the gossip crew and all that stuff, but in the long run, what's that really doing for you? Nothing. So take accountability for that.
That's true. I had to take accountability with myself yesterday about the comments that I have, because like I think we said earlier, I would catch myself talking about things from the past a lot, and like talking myself back into those spaces. Like life would be great, like I'll be in a good space, but then it's the conversations that I'm having where like I'm like a lot, like I'm comfortable just talking about things that aren't. And I was thinking like I had to really reevaluate, and that was hard to really look at myself. Bernice, look how long you spent on the phone, whatever, talking about something that's hurting you, or something that you're past already, or that, okay, you know, like what do you still like, what you're out of it, what's wrong, you know? And I had to check myself. Me and Jen do this. We're not doing this show to attack people or bring people down. We sit with ourselves every second. This is like our little journal of our healing journey. We're on our self-love journey as well, you know, trying to figure things out. And going off of what Jen said about having sometimes just to say it, that's you decluttering your mind. Sometimes you need to take the time out to declutter your mind so you can speak more healthy. Get all that BS that has to come out. Maybe you have to write it out, throw it away, burn it on fire, but go ahead, get them thoughts out, because they're still there. They need to be released somehow, some way. But we're saying like work on fueling it and revamping your mind so healthier things can come out.
That's so true. Y'all gotta think about this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're the species that has languages for a reason. We have the ability to speak for a reason. Like, I get it, other mammals communicate with each other through other different ways, but we create words as human beings. Like, I think that is such a gift that we take for granted.
Wow.
That what other species in nature has that ability to do that? And sometimes when we use that to destroy each other as humanity, like, it makes me really sad, because we should be speaking life into each other, love into each other in reality, and just realizing what a gift it is to even be able to say these words in the first place.
That's so true. And I think if you're sitting there, you're like, wow, what do I do then? You know, start monitoring what you say. You know, watch. You have to catch yourself doing it. You know, and then, you know, once you start monitoring, you'll see how it is, and then you can start, you know, think of words to like replace it with, you know, things like that, and go forward.
Yeah, share beautiful words with other people. I think one thing I really liked, I don't know if you remember this, in college there was like a random box in one of the libraries where it said, take one if you need kindness today. And it was like the little slips of papers, and it had compliments on there. It was like, you know, you look great in that shirt today, or go say hi to a stranger, or just remember that you're loved today. And it's different things like that when you realize like you can have beautiful moments with other people, even if it's the smallest of things, and it can start with the words you're speaking to each other. Like, it's okay to tell people you love them, that you're grateful for their presence in your life, you appreciate them. You have no idea how long that compliment can go in their life. Like, for me, something as little as that has made my day sometimes. So just be beautiful with each other in the words that you speak with each other.
Yes, speak life into yourself and into others, you know. Oh, those little compliments. Yo, that's true. I'll be like, I need to hear that.
Yeah.
Like yesterday I went to go visit my grandma, and like I didn't get, you know, I haven't really been getting to see them because of everything going on, but she randomly just looked at me and she just said, Nene, you're so pretty. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It made my day. I don't know what it was. It was just like, you never know what words can do, and how like a little sentence, a little compliment can make your day, you know. Learn what words need to be said out loud. I ain't going, okay, now we're talking about words, right? sometimes you can't control certain thoughts. Sometimes we have those mean negative thoughts. I'm gonna be honest, yes, I'll look at someone or something, whatever, and something can just pop up in my brain. Someone can say something, I just think, what the hell are they talking about, whatever. But learn what needs to be said out loud, or when is the time to say those things. That's what we're saying. We're not saying we sit here and think completely clean thoughts, everything's no. Like sometimes some junk comes through our brain as well, but learn what to say out loud.
Because I know if every thought of mine was transmitted out into the world, y'all would think I'm not that great of a person. But it's like what you were saying, what is actually going to be said out loud. And honestly, we're not going to be able to shelter ourselves from evil words being spoken to us or against us or whichever. So that's why it's important to have thick skin. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in life in general, because I thought if I was nice, someone was going to be nice back, and I learned quickly that was not the case. So I had to learn to develop thick skin, that sometimes people just really are horrible. They're miserable with their own lives. They want to make you feel as bad as they feel. So they want to attack you with their words. So you on your own have to have that thick skin, know yourself well enough, and be proud in yourself enough to know, you know what, this is a reflection of them more than it is on me. Now, if you want to check a person for the shit that they say to you, that's different. Go ahead, by all means, honey, because I know I will.
We're not saying let people walk over you.
Exactly, but definitely have that thick skin.
It's true, because the more self-love that you do, the more thick skin you're going to require, because I'll be honest, the brighter your light's going to get, and that's where people are going to come to that light and try to dim it, and that's all a part of it, building that thick skin, and also like Jen said, it's important to have that healthy self-image, because when those words, you'll have that thick skin and those words will bounce right off, like, because you know who you are at the end of the day, and that's just their opinion, that's how they feel about themselves, and they want to tell somebody that so that you could make it seem like you feel ugly because they feel ugly too.
Don't ever let somebody sink you down into their hole. But we really want to leave y'all off with learning to speak words into the life that you want to create and live in. It all starts with you. Yes, it's cliche. If you notice, we use a lot of our corny quotes, but because I think the older we get, the more we realize how much they really do apply to our lives. But this is one of the biggest things. Like, definitely speak the life that you want. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to be happy, you want to be wealthy, you have all these goals, you want to have a loving relationships with people around you, speak that. But speak that into others as well, because that's going to really be the quality of your life. That's going to be determining everything on how it's going to look, how you're going to feel about yourself, what kind of relationships you're going to be having. It all starts with the words that you're speaking into existence.
That's so true. And I've been learning too to even stop using the word like I'm trying and say I'm doing it. Like even those, because we even use those halfway words. And guess what? There's still doubt in words like trying or maybe I can or I'm going. Like that's still
you're setting
limiting yourself up. Okay, trying. Trying doesn't mean it happened.
Right.
So so just all that. We all just want to share some. Look, speak up. We speaking up on this episode. Power Words, right?
Yes.
We thank y'all for tuning in to our 63rd episode. What's the reminder, Jen?
Reminder, check us out live and unfiltered Thursdays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on the Good News Radio Network. Go to the link in our bio, download the app, live chat with us, call in, check out the other shows on the network as well. You will not be disappointed.
Yes, make sure you tap in with our sponsor at Urban Hippie Essentials. It's urbanhippie.essentials. That's the Instagram. You can check us out on Instagram at SpeakUpJV, on Twitter at SpeakUpJV. We're also, if you're watching this but you want to hear us, check us out on Spotify, Apple, apparently iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon. SpeakUpJV is global. We got live shows we pop in. So, and also if you're watching this video, please like and subscribe, comment, tell a friend.
Yes, and just feel free to Google SpeakUpJV. We will pop up, I promise.
That part. But we love y'all, and we'll see y'all next episode.
See y'all.
Bye.